Well, this is a question which I often get from non-Jews and comes up and asked the rabbi pretty often, but occasionally Jewish people ask this question as well, which is, it was actually asked to me by a customs agent in Australia. He's checking my bags, he sees the set of tefillin, and he says, what are these? I explain to him it's a biblical commandment, I'm an Orthodox Jew, this is part of my prayer service. And he says, oh, okay. He closes the bag and he says, so why don't you believe that Jesus is the Messiah? I'm thinking to myself, what the heck, he's not going to let me in if I answer incorrectly? Anyway, I said, look, why do you believe? I said, what is the Messiah meant to do? Well, if you look in the books of Isaiah, Ezekiel, Jeremiah, you look through the prophets and the writings, they tell us a few things that's meant to happen. Number one, he's meant to bring universal peace. Universal peace. Nation shall not raise sword against nation. They shall not teach war anymore. Does this sound familiar to you? Certainly it doesn't sound familiar to me from the media, because when I look in the newspapers and listen to the news, I don't hear much of universal peace around the place. People are they're not raising sword against nation. True. They're using instead M16s, Kalashnikovs, etc. Okay, fine. Right, number one, the Messiah is meant to bring peace. I said, number two, there's meant to be, it says, as the verse says, and people will know God, the knowledge of God will cover the earth like the ocean covers, the sea covers the ocean floor. Universal acknowledgement, knowledge of God. Number three, the Jews will come back to Israel. I'll bring them back to this land. I will increase them, and I will give them prosperity beyond that of their forefathers in this land, so ingathering of the exiles. Rebuilding of the temple in Jerusalem. Restoration of King David as monarch of the Jewish people. Let me ask you something. So you're a Jew, right? It's right after, it's 70 of the Common Era. The Roman stones, ballistic stones lying all over the streets of Jerusalem. The temple is destroyed, it's in flames. The Jews are in exile all over the world. Paganism has taken over in much of the world. There is universal warfare. Pax Romana was not really peaceful. And the temple is destroyed, and the Jewish people are in exile. And someone comes to you and says, listen, folks, I've got good news. I say, what's the good news? He says, the Messiah's here. I said, really? Could have fooled me. Right? What do you mean? Where's the peace? The Jews are scattered. The temple's in flames. So Christians, granted, have answers to some of these things. They say, well, the peace is internal, and the peace is going to come with the second coming, and maybe the temple means the last temple was the second, the temple is in our hearts, and the Jews are in exile because they rejected Messiah. But you know what? Those answers are not evidence. They're answers because the evidence goes against the thesis. You can't bring me proof from an answer that you are making up in order to deal with contrary evidence. All the evidence of the senses, all the evidence of the intellect is against the idea that Messiah is here. Right? If the Messiah is here, we should not be seeing wars all over the world as we are seeing. If the Messiah is here, all the Jews should be in Israel. If the Messiah is here, everyone in the world should have a relationship with God. If the Messiah is here, then we should see a King David. We shouldn't have some WASP, white Ashkenazi socialist paratrooper ruling Israel. It should be some member of the House of David, right? It should be a different world, right? You're telling me, yeah, well, he really is here, and the reason for this is because of that. The reason for this is because of that. The reason for this is because of that. You know what? I'll apply Occam's razor. Occam's razor in science is, you know what? The simplest and most elegant solution is usually correct. Right? If I've got problem A and B and C and D in the thesis, and I can answer A by saying second coming, I can answer B by saying internal peace, I can answer C by saying that, or I can say one answer. Guess what? Your thesis is wrong. So our answer is, the thesis is wrong. We are just basically keeping the Torah as it always was before, right, the Common Era and after the Common Era. The burden of proof is not upon me to say, why don't I believe? But the burden of proof is on someone to say why you do believe, right? Because all the evidence is to the contrary. So that's how we have to look at it. I don't believe because there's no evidence. In fact, everything that the Messiah was meant to do, the precise opposite happened immediately after the appearance of Jesus in the world. So therefore, I believe in the Torah, right? I'm still believing in the Torah, as do most Jews through thousands of years. This, to me, is not a major question.